He just accidentally contradicted his boss. As a result, he was thrown into the frontline battlefield, but he didn't even know where the weapon insurance was. Where is the safety exactly? Seeing that the other teammates are skilled in operating the outer bones and he was even more anxious to sweat profusely. They were not fighting ordinary soldiers this time. It was an alien creature called a terrestrial beast. They have extremely sharp tentacles and powerful attacks. Humans are not adversaries at all. 5 years ago, a meteorite crash brought them to the blue planet. From then on, your great beast began to kill. In just 5 years, they occupied many countries, killed nearly 1 million soldiers. What was left of humanity was uniting as never before. Formed a huge coalition army to defend against you. And build a highly advanced exoskeleton mecha to help them better defend against foreign enemies. But under long-term oppression, the commander-in-chief still decided to gather all the soldiers and fight you to skinny on the beach to the death. End this long-standing battle once and for all. Soon, 1 million troops were all assembled and ready to go to the beach. And Cage, who contradicted his boss, was also among them. With a nervous face, he attracted the ridicule of his teammates. Is a dead die in it? Ha ha. But just as his teammates were laughing at Cage, a shell suddenly hit the transport plane. The engine room was damaged. Many teammates received a packed lunch before they went to the battlefield. The remaining soldiers were forced to land early. But their ropes are still attached to the transports, spinning wildly in the air. Countless shells hit them like birds, until the transport plane was completely destroyed. The ropes on their bodies broke, falling rapidly to the ground. Fortunately, it has the protection of exoskeleton armor. This allowed Cage to save one little life, but the surroundings were chaotic. Missiles in the air scurried everywhere. Hundreds of transport planes were shot down. Teammates are celebrating their safe landing, but the next second he was smashed into flames by the plane. Where had Cage seen such a scene? Confused, he could only charge with the army. The surroundings were full of miserable images of the mecha warriors, before he recovered from his fright. A plane smashed into him. Fortunately, he jumped into the robe on the side in time. This was how he narrowly escaped. Then these female beasts began to attack the soldiers frantically. They seemed to have appraised the prophet's abilities. I know the counterattack of mankind like the back of my hand, and they couldn't fight back. Even killing countless female war gods who were too thin for you was instantly killed by a rocket launcher. It seems that they really underestimated your skinny strength this time. But Cage didn't care about that. Now he just wanted to escape quickly, but he was stopped by the oncoming instructor. Before he could berate Cage for deserting, a quasi-terrestrial beast emerged from the ground. Then he started spinning wildly in his robe. It's a walking meat grinder. Teammates were scared and opened fire wildly, but these attacks had no effect on them. Soon they will all be remembered. In a panic, Cage finally opened the insurance and shot at you who were too thin and crazy. After one operation, he really killed a woman who was too thin. This may be a novice gift package. 2.5 seconds after he was happy, a more advanced female beast separated from the ground and met his eyes. Cage wanted to kill a female beast with the luck of a novice. Unexpectedly, this free package can only be purchased once by one person, but it needs to be supplemented. Fortunately, at this point he noticed the C4 explosive next to him, so he picked up the explosives and pulled the safety 1 second before the female beast rushed over. The female beast was instantly blown to pieces. Blood sprayed on Cage's face. It corroded him in an instant, but he didn't die because of it. Instead, he suddenly woke up from the barracks. Cage thought he was having a nightmare. Little did he know that he had already gained the ability to resurrect, until he saw the familiar scene around him, and the instructor said the same words as yesterday. He realized that he had returned to the day before the final battle. Then he was taken to the barracks like yesterday, seeing his dead teammates mocking him, and the scene where they were caught playing poker by the instructor. The words of reprimanding them were the same as yesterday. Trust me, you'll come around. His somewhat dazed Cage dressed in his mech and took a transport plane to the beach. Teammates still taunted. The voice just fell. The familiar cannonball woke up again. Fortunately, this time he cut the rope early, falling steadily to the ground. Then his teammates were swept away by the downing plane. Fortunately, he relied on yesterday's memory to hit 5 seconds before the shell hit, although the god of war saved him. But he was shot through his chest by shrapnel, and the god of war saw that he was hopeless. So he took his mech battery. Let him fend for himself. Red Rosette. After another resurrection, Keiichi completely believed that he had accidentally obtained a resurrection ability. So he immediately found the instructor. Tell him all the news of the rout on the front line tomorrow. But how could the instructor believe his nonsense? Just treat him as a weak and afraid of death who refuses to go to the battlefield. In order to prove that what Cage said was true, he pronounced word for word the name of his teammate Ford Skinner. He riffed your playing cards under the bed. But his statement did not receive a letter from the instructor. Ren is indeed. Cage was put on a transport plane as a mental illness. What followed was a cannonball. Fortunately, he cut the steel sweep in time. After landing steadily, Cage saved the team that was about to be smashed to death. But he was directly killed by the plane. After being resurrected again, he was killed by a car. After countless deaths, Cage also went from bronze to the strongest king. Go forward bravely on the battlefield, avoid all dangers, and save the human goddess of war. Such an abnormal hand also made Rita feel abnormal. Then Cage performed another indiscriminate shooting in front of him. You were too thin to resist. Then a howitzer blasted it to pieces, without being sloppy. After witnessing his immortal-like ability, Rita seemed to understand everything. Then he put down the knife in his hand and told Cage what to do after he was resurrected. By me, when you wake up. Ross came find me when you woke up. After being consumed by the flames, Cage was resurrected again. And what Rita said proved that he knew the secret of resurrection. So he stopped talking nonsense with the instructor, obediently followed him to the camp and rushed in front of him. Come to the dormitory and hide the poker for your teammates in advance. Prevent them from being scolded for wasting time. Keys flat bucket probably. This operation left the instructor speechless, obediently left the barracks. In the following physical training, in order to escape the constraints of the instructor, he went right under the car. What the hell were you thinking? Fortunately, after countless failures, he finally managed to break free from the constraints of the instructor. Then he went to another camp, and found Rita here. It means that you asked me to come to you yesterday. Rita understood everything in an instant, immediately decided to take him to meet someone. In the middle, he told Cage not to tell anyone about the resurrection. Otherwise, the instructor will be sent to a mental hospital as a lunatic. The reason why Rita knows so much about this ability. Because he once had this ability. So he can be invincible on the battlefield, become the female god of war in the human population. But he lost a lot of blood in an accident. This caused him to lose this ability. Soon Rita took him to a workshop. This is where we make high-tech exoskeleton mechs. And found Dr. Carter in the lab. He is very knowledgeable about your skinny physiology. After learning that Cage has the ability to resurrect, and Dr. Carter stopped thinking, explained the reason for the matter directly to him. It turns out that you are too thin. There are 3 kinds in total. Those who fight on the battlefield are the lower ones. And above them there is a higher elite alpha coefficient. That is, the female beast who died with Cage. He produces only 1 elite alpha coefficient for every 6.18 million species. His task is to restrain the common one. And what really controls them is the parent Omega. He has the ability to control time. Every time an alpha coefficient is killed, Omega will restart the timeline of the day. Let them be invincible. And Cage accidentally collided with the blood of the alpha coefficient to give him the ability to revive. The mother Omega is also unaware. Therefore, every time he died, Omega would bring him back to life and preserve the memory of that day. But anyway, now, if you want to kill your Supreme Sheriff completely, you must first kill Omega. And if you want to find him, you can only use some images that appear every time Cage dies to find him. That is to say, Cage can only keep dying to find him. Hearing this, Cage suddenly broke through the blue. But there was no other way. Can only accept it happily. So in the days that followed, Rita began to give him devil training. Once Cage was injured in the middle, he would kill them without hesitation, so as not to treat them for a single time. Fortunately, Cage will find Rita for training as soon as possible after every resurrection. It's been going on and on and on. Again. 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 Just wait. I think I'm okay. On your feet, Maggot. Maggot, I'm trying to be nice to you, Maggot. I move after countless deaths. Cage also grew up in training. His level has far exceeded altruism. Hard work pays off. In this death, Cage finally saw the location of Omega. His location is in the German Naira. After waking up, Cage dared not stand in the way at all. He hurriedly told Rita and Rita about the happy event. Now they only need to survive tomorrow's beach battle to reach the German reservoir and destroy Omega. The next day, full of confidence, they went to the battlefield to kill the enemy. Even if the 2 died, they were not discouraged at all. Try to avoid accidents. Rethink the plan. But on the battlefield, Cage found that, no matter how they avoid the unexpected, Rita never escaped the fate of death. They seemed trapped in this day forever. After countless rebirths, Cage was very tired, so he chose to escape reality. Stop looking for Rita's devised plans. Instead, he went to a bar for a drink. But when he finished drinking, he found out that you were too thin and started to attack London. This means that humanity's last line of defense will be breached. After the resurrection, Cage was no longer decadent. They kill on the battlefield. And Rita followed closely behind him. After some operation, his teammates were stunned. What's his name, again? After repeated failures, they finally managed to survive the beach battle. Came to a farm. Here they found a car to go to the location of Omega. Now I can finally have a short time to relax. Along the way, he tried to get to know Rita, but he didn't want to have too much interaction with Cage. Kai, I do not need to get to know you, and if you knew what was good for you, you wouldn't want to get to know me either. It's the only way you make it through this thing. But Cage accidentally said the name of Rita's boyfriend. This not only aroused his pain, it turns out that Rita has seen her boyfriend die 300 times, but every time he couldn't change. That's why Rita doesn't want to mention him, but he didn't notice the exhaustion on Cage's face. Soon, the car suddenly stopped at the side of the road. They had no choice but to go to an abandoned manor to rest for a while and look for transportation tools. Fortunately, they were lucky enough to find a helicopter in the backyard. This shortens the time to reach the reservoir by a lot. They never found the key to the helicopter. Plus, Rita's shoulder injury. They decided to rest here for a while. After bandaging the wound, Cage found a packet of coffee here. I love you. Such a skillful movement suddenly made Rita feel that something was wrong. How many times have we been here? In the face of Rita's questioning, Cage had to be honest. They had been here many times. And that damn key was also hidden by him. Rita was very puzzled as to why he was wasting his time here. You started that engineering guy. It turns out that Rita can only live here at most. No matter what he does, it won't change the facts. But Rita, who learned the truth, still resolutely rushed out. He thinks his life doesn't matter at all. But Cage didn't think so. His relationship with Rita was no longer as frivolous as it once was. He insisted that Rita stay here until his triumphant return. Why does it matter what happens to me? Maybe. I didn't know you. But I didn't start the plane despite his dissuasion. The flag came from a group. From the flag comes a bunch of alpha coefficients. Finally, Rita fell in front of him again. After being resurrected again, he found Rita. But Cage didn't talk to him. I just looked at him silently for a while. Then he turned around and left. He decided to face it all alone. This time he stopped looking for insurance, like Kenya. Instead, asked the instructor to give him more ammunition. 3 more clips of 5.56 grenade. And an extra battery. Got it. Cage, who came to the battlefield, said nothing. The beach battle ended in a short time. Then he came to the manor and flew the helicopter to the location of Omega. The whole thing happens in one go. But when he came inside, he didn't find where Omega was. Instead, 2 ARFs were found on both sides. At this moment, he realized that he had fallen into a trap. Unexpectedly, they knew how to lure the enemy deeper. He wanted to shoot himself and resurrect. Unexpectedly, it was blocked by the alpha coefficient and pierced his first pet, but they didn't kill Cage immediately. Instead, let him keep bleeding, thus losing the ability to resurrect. Cage, who didn't want to wait to die, jumped into the water and drowned himself. After being resurrected, he found the doctor, tell him the news of the failure. Fortunately, the doctor also has a nirvana, and that's his new transducer. As long as he is inserted into Cage's body, he can find the location of Omega. The converter is divided into 2 main bodies. The other half is at the Union Command. So they came here cautiously, and found the general in the command room. Then he threatened to hand over the other half of the converter at gunpoint. At first, he didn't want to hand over the converter but it's great to hear that they can destroy you. The general still chose to give it a go and hand over the converter to prevent the general. The army repented. They drove away frantically and used the converter directly. In an instant, Cage's pupils began to darken. Images suddenly flashed in his mind, and this is where the Omega is located, the Louvre in Paris. But as they had just thought. After all, the general still couldn't trust the two. Send mecha soldiers to intercept. When Cage woke up again, he found something very bad. That is, he has been transfused by the hospital. This also meant that he lost his ability to resurrect. Soon Rita found him. I saw him get hurt. Rita wanted to stab him to death. Sorry, Cage. Oh, wait, I'm out. They gave me blood. They made it all the way to the barracks, but now the two will face a huge problem. That's how to get rid of Omisha. Now Cage has no resurrection ability, unless they have someone to support them with another helicopter. Having said that, Cage suddenly thought of a ghost point, that is to find the team you know for a day. Use your glib Tangang. In addition to his desire to appraise the power of the Prophet, he quickly convinced his teammates to follow him to fight an impossible battle. Then they stole a helicopter and went to the Louvre. On the way, Cage told the crowd not to kill the alpha coefficient. Otherwise Omega will reset the timeline of the day. By then, they will have lost all their previous efforts. Soon they arrived at the Louvre. However, countless female primate beasts launched a fierce attack on them. Even if everyone angrily resisted, they could not withstand the attacks of many female priests. The plane fell sharply to the ground. More than half of his teammates were also killed or injured. Fortunately, the female beast has not found their location yet. Team members are temporarily safe, but they are still some way from the Louvre. So Cage decided to use the residual power of the plane to taxi all the way to the Louvre. He wanted to bring his injured teammate along, but his teammates felt that they were seriously injured and did not want to be the master. Insist on stopping. Cage had no choice but to respect their choice. When the plane starts, you were too excited and immediately lost your teammate's position. Come on. After they emptied the magazine, the two looked at each other for a moment, then he activated the bomb on his body without hesitation. The sacrifice of their teammates bought them valuable time. The two arrived at the Louvre without a hitch. Then they blocked the artery with a bomb, prevent the Mitai beast from chasing again. But when they came inside, they found that there was a personal protector here. So Rita decided to open the altar with her life. For getting me this one. Good man, Cage. I wish you had the chance to know you better. With that, Rita dashed out, and alpha coefficient noticed him. Immediately pushed him to the ground and tear him to shreds. Witness Rita's tragic death, Cage immediately jumped into the water, because he knew that the Omega was hidden in the water. And Alpha was in hot pursuit. Seeing the Omega is just around the corner, Cage quickly pulled out the grenade insurance. But the alpha coefficient directly froze through his heart. Fortunately, he has already pulled the insurance. The grenade fell smoothly into Omega's body. At this moment, Cage finally revealed a long-lost smile. Because he knows that everything he does is worth it. A huge explosion swept through the entire Louvre, with the death of Omega. All the female primate beasts also disappeared completely at this moment. Humans have finally won this alien battle. The sky began to clear. At this time, the frozen Cage was wrapped in Omega's blood. Then his pupils began to darken slowly. And then something incredible happened. Cage was reborn again, and the day before he left for the battlefield. Then he read on the news that there was a violent explosion at the Louvre yesterday. The female beast around the world suddenly died mysteriously. Humans won this battle without a fight. Then he came to the barracks non-stop, saw the training team, and Rita he had been thinking about. I never expected to see him again in my lifetime.